Commissioner Bagley?
Here.
Herzog?
Here.
Damian?
Here.
Costin?
Here.
LaFontaine?
Here.
McGilvery?
Here.
Long? Nash?
Here.
Quarles? Vanderveen?
Here. I don't see myself.
I'm sorry?
But I don't see you.
I don't either. I'm blank. I'm here though.
We have 8 present, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. If we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and if you could remain standing for a moment of silence for the death of Tom Middleton's son, Ted. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Yeah.
I hadn't heard what happened to Tom's son.
Tom's son was involved in a real bad car accident about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, boy.
And he was rear-ended on I-75, as I understand it. The car hit him doing about 100 miles an hour, just rear-ended him.
Oh, boy.
And he was in a coma for a long time, and they kept him on life support so that they could harvest his organs. So Tom and his wife donated all of his organs. So that he just passed away a couple days ago. So there's a funeral service on Thursday, and I don't have the details as yet. So
It's at Wint in Claxton.
It is at Wint.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I might add, I heard today that Eric Wilson is in the hospital
Oh,
really?
with suspected COVID. You know, he was a former road commissioner as well as a
yeah.
park commissioner on this board. So just, wishing him the best and hope. He's a ex-Marine or Army guy, so hopefully he's like Jim as well. Hopefully he's a tough guy and we'll get through it.
Yeah.
Jim, you were in the service, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in the Army.
Yeah. So those guys can get through anything.
My wife's court is closed for COVID, and she tested today. They have to use the county facility, so they couldn't get to her till today. They closed it last Friday, and she has no symptoms, but several people in her court did, and so she's working from home to the extent that they're operating at all, and I don't think they're answering the phones there. Maybe because Judge Fabrizio was there today, but it's kind of tough there right now.
Who got it, Bob?
There were people in the probation department in Judge Costin and Judge Fabrizio's court that tested positive.
Oh, okay.
So they sent everybody home last week. And then because they have to use the county facilities to test, they were behind, so they didn't test Kelly till today. And then, of course, until you get the results back, you can't do anything anyway, but she didn't have any symptoms. So they're hoping that it continues to be negative. So.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now we need an approval for the agenda. Is there a motion?
I'll move
I'll
it.
move.
Moved by Costin, supported by Jamian. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign for those opposed. Motion carries. Next is the approval of the minutes from October 7th. Is there a motion?
Yes, does.
Moved by Nash, supported by Jamian. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Like sign for those opposed. Motion carries. Next is public comment. Is there any public comment?
Just
No public
congratulate,
comment tonight.
just want to congratulate Gary, you and your victory. And I don't know if Christine's on or not. She and hers as well. Oh, there she is. Yeah. Congratulations, folks.
I am, thank you. I stayed up all night waiting for those results to refresh, and they wouldn't refresh, so I'm very tired today. 5 a.m. and I finally gave up, and I says, oh my gosh. And people said I won, but I said, not until the last 2 precincts, and I never declared. So, yeah, thanks.
And to you too, Jim. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
If I can, as you probably all read, the millage passed. Very excited about that. I want to
even
take
better
a
than
moment
last
just
time.
I want to take a moment to to thank you, Dan Stencil, and all of his staff who put in lots of hours on their own time, I might add. But they worked hard to make sure that this got taken care of, and they did a fabulous job, as well as the Citizens Committee also that raised some money. Chairman Woodward, who raised some money for to pay for signs and all that kind of stuff. So I'm real happy with the outcome, and I look forward to the next 10 years of being able to operate with a little bit more money. So
That's
we
great.
just have to work to be fiscally responsible now.
Amen.
So if at the next meeting, we will have a debrief with our staff, and if you have any comments on anything that we can do differently. We all know that things changed significantly. If you remember 2010, we didn't even have social media. So who knows what's going to be out there 10 years from now.
Okay, next item, is there any other public comment, first of all? Hearing none, next item is communications capital improvement expense summary. Is Jeff
yeah.
there? I don't see Jeff's name.
I'm on here. I'm caller 1.
Okay,
Yeah, referring to lucky page number 13, because of the year-end process, the financial reports are not available for mail out. But I do happen to have the operating statement for fiscal year 2020, and the operating loss was $1,878,000, which is kind of ironic because last year, fiscal year 2019, the operating loss was $1,802,000. So despite all the COVID grief that was brought upon the park system, financially, they came out very, very well. Of course, revenues are down, but on the expense side, there are a lot of savings also. So I'm very happy looking at these numbers. And next month, we'll have the full slew of financials that, for the year end, as well as the October statements.
So if anybody has any questions, when we have those reports available for you at the next meeting, we'll definitely address them.
okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda. We have items A through J. Is there a motion?
I'll move it, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Long, supported by Costin. Is there any discussion on any of the items on the consent agenda? Hearing none?
Oh,
I'm sorry, the phones are all ringing here, my cell phone, my desk phone. Hearing none, then we'll, can we have a roll call vote on the consent agenda, please?
Yes. Mr. Herzog,
Yes.
Damian,
Yes,
Costin,
Yes.
LaFontaine,
Yes.
On, On,
Yes, did you hear me?
yes.
Okay,
McGilvery,
perfect.
Yes,
Nash,
yes.
Quarles, Vanderveen,
Yes.
and Bagley.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Move on to the regular agenda. A request for fiscal year 2021 Recreation Assistance Partnership Program, RAP funds. And is there a motion?
So moved.
Andrea? Is there support?
I'll
Support
support.
by Amanda.
Okay.
Is there any discussion on that? Dan, what is the increase year over year for RAP for this
Well,
budget?
actually, it's proposed currently at the 200,000 that you have allotted in the last several years, with the understanding that if staff, because of new initiatives or need, you have graciously supported us if we had to come back to you. So we do have John Haney on the call, I believe, Sue. If you have
Yes,
questions.
John is on the call.
Yeah.
Do you have anything
I have
to
a
add,
question.
John? John, do you have anything to add?
No, I just, with this year, it was a little bit different because of COVID. We did, kind of send out the application with this Oaks on the Road and some other thing, because we had over 100, reservations before COVID hit. And then afterwards, we kind of, you can see in the report, it dropped down to 51, but we kind of re-pivoted and sent it back out to the communities, do these Oaks on the Road, which were a little bit smaller events. And a lot of communities took advantage of that. We're actually planning to do some of those in the winter time too. So where we're going to do like snow art, build a snowman, all that kind of good stuff with winter if we do get snow. But so yeah, that's what it is.
How are we standing with all of the equipment? I mean, are we pretty much up to date? Do we need new equipment or?
Well, we need a couple new bouncers. But me and Sue are kind of talking and maybe moving it forward to something else than bouncers, but really we're looking pretty good. There's a couple that are showing their ages. Our buses are good. Our stage I put in 2021 for a new stage because that one, our oldest one, is 1989. So I did put that in the budget for next year to possibly get a new stage. So
Okay. Thanks.
Gary, I have a question.
Chris, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Gary. So that was kind of my question with COVID. Things may look different again at the beginning of the year for the RAP program and maybe all next year. We don't know. So I just want to make sure you guys are creative, which I think you will be. And I guess if there's any funds left, if we could roll them over the next year or something. But I think you're gonna have to get pretty creative right now with the programs because I think all of us know recently with the restaurants, we're going backwards again. And there's a lot of cases in Commerce Township now. And, I finally know people. I'm sad to know people, but like Greg said, I'm finally starting to know people who have a case and they're in the hospital. So I want to make sure you guys are creative and of course, careful with the amount of people you have and that we continue to be vigilant with the COVID. And if there's any funds left, I'm sure that this board could roll them over the next year if we don't use them in 2020 or 2021, just because of COVID, because I don't know if this is going to go right away. So that's just my, it sounds like you guys did that. So I just want to make sure that we keep doing that.
Okay. Is there any other comments or questions?
One thing that we are doing this year, Commissioner Long, this is Sue Wells. We, the recreation program staff, is going out and meeting with the 62 CVTs to find out specifically what they would like to see with programming. 1/3 of our county does not have a Parks and Rec department or a full-time recreation programmer. And that is important for us, even more important for us to serve those communities that don't have that. So within the next couple months, they'll be coming back to you with some of their input from these meetings. And staff is, but staff, from everything I have seen, have been very extra careful with social distancing and cleaning, and which is very good for customer service also.
Dan?
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Sue. I know you have, and I just wanted that is one publicity we don't want. So I know you guys are being careful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.
Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, mobile recreation started in 1974, and it might be an interesting history lesson for the commission and staff to go back into the archives and look at the different program offerings that we've had historically, because a lot of things recycle and so on, and there might be something that we did previously that might be very apropos in today's environment.
Could we possibly have a report in January on that?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. One other concern, I think I mentioned at one of our executive board meetings. I'm wondering if there isn't a need to have a community liaison person.
Oh.
That would meet with all the CVTs regarding RAP, or maybe any events that they might want to hold, or get together with Oakland County Parks, and we can sponsor some events and some around the county. With the passage of the millage, I think that's a possibility if we could do that. So maybe if we could get a report on that as well in January, Dan.
Sure. Part of our thought process is to use our staff as kind of an intermediary community liaison with a number of individuals participating in that, and then looking at budgeting at some point in time in the next year or so to look at possibly adding a full-time position. Oh, there's
So
Dave.
if there's a community out there like Royal Oak or Bloomfield Township that wants to learn more about the parks, who's their liaison, Dan? Who do they reach out to?
But generally, they reach out to
1-800
myself
number?
or a staff
No, I'm
person.
saying a staff person from the township or Royal Oak City. Do they-
I could
Are
probably.
they have designated liaisons that they can speak to now?
So most of the cities that we deal with, we have had a connection with them for years. But we go online and try to find connections. If you have a connection, Mr. Jamian, or Commissioner Jamian, if you have a connection, just shoot an email to me or Dan or Sue, and we'll try to connect with them, see if we can get something out there for them. So, and any commissioner on this can always do that for us, but we send it out. We go through our inbox guidebook for the different emails to send this out for Oakland County. So, but yeah, traditionally they normally either contact Dan or Sue or my boss, Brandy Boyd, and then it kind of gets filtered down to me. So.
Okay. Are there any other questions or concerns? Okay, hearing none. We have a motion and a support. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Jamian,
Yes.
Austin,
Yes.
LaFontaine,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
McGilvery,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Quarles, Vanderveen,
Yes.
Bagley,
Yes.
Herzog.
Yes.
Motion passed 9-0.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to item B, proposed renewal of the Springfield Oaks residential lease to Terry Pasha. O'Shea. Can we have a motion, please? Motion by Costin, supported by Ebony. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, Commissioner Costin,
Yes.
LaFontaine,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
McGilvery,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Quarles, Vanderveen,
Yes.
Bagley,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Damian.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you.
Gary, Gary?
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, before you leave, what is the shape of that house? To the property?
We do an annual inspection. That is one of the three-bedroom ranches that were built by the Parks Commission in the early 70s when they required the park supervisor to live on site. And so all three of those are in pretty good shape.
We do have the roof replacement on the CIP schedule for getting that done because that's nearing its end of life cycle. And we've been maintaining the equipment within the building. So the rest of the building's pretty good shape.
Chris, go ahead.
All right, Gary, I do have a question because the next one's a lease too. Did someone say we were going to, I thought we were going to maybe try to phase out and being in the landlord business. Didn't we say that at one point, you guys?
Yeah.
I mean, I know we have some houses, but isn't that a goal, is to try to get out of these a little bit?
Especially the ones that might be repetitive, where we have, for example, here at Waterford, we have 3 houses that have been leased in the past. We're only currently doing 2, but for example, out at Highland Oaks, where we have a 3-bedroom ranch out there, we have no buildings and stuff on site, so it's nice to have a caretaker like effect there. Addison, where we've stopped leasing that site. Yeah, and
I just thought I remember saying some of them were, I guess if they're in disrepair and stuff, at one point, when we don't need them for the person, for lack of a better word, a watchdog, that we should probably start getting out of the landlord business when we can.
the Bailey House was formerly a lease property that we're out of.
That took us a long time, but I do know that one was. Thank you.
Yep.
We were at a max of, I think, 14 properties at one point, and we're down to 6. So we are getting out of the business, and it is based on the condition of the house and the need for the park.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to point out before, because I knew we were doing these 2 leases, that I remember hearing that. So thank you.
Dave?
I remember Leon Younger, I think his name was, with Pros. His comment was, if you're not using it, get rid of it. I think we should start applying that policy that he recommended to us.
We've been doing it.
That's what it sounds like we've been doing, so. Are there any other questions? Vicky, help me out here. Do we have a motion yet for the Groveland Oaks residential lease?
Not yet. We were discussing the Fosha lease.
Okay, I just wanted
Yep, no problem.
to, do we have a motion then for the Groveland Oaks residential lease? Motion by Vanderveen, supported by Bob Costin. Is there any discussion on the Groveland Oaks residential lease? Hearing none, can we have a roll call vote on that, please?
Yes. I'm sorry, I lost my place. LaFontaine,
Yes.
Long,
Yes.
McGilvery,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Quarles, Vanderveen,
Yes.
Higley,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Damian,
Yes.
and Costin.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Michigan Department of Natural Resources Off-Road Vehicle Trail Improvement Fund 2021 Grant Award. Melissa.
Good afternoon. This is a
Parks and Rec.
this is a grant for $199,000 that we were awarded by the DNR, that ORV Trail Improvement Fund. This is the same funding that we received other grants for the development of the park. Sorry, I'm working off one screen here, trying to pull up my. So this is the grant that provided us the $160,000 grant and then the $262,000 grant. Those grants were actually made to the DNR and they've been reimbursing us for the development of the park. Now that the park is fully open and operational, we are the grantee of that fund. They suggested we apply around $200,000, which is what we did. And we want to put that funding toward the development of the Dixie Ledge parking lot. There's a lot of things we want to do out at the park, but there's a few things that we really need to do. And getting that parking lot at the Dixie Ledge completed is really the top priority at this point. I know Mike can speak to, the details of the project, but we're still kind of working with Roe to figure out to do the entire parking lot is much more than $200,000. So we're working with Roe to try to figure out how we can phase that into a couple smaller projects and see how far that $199,000 grant will get us, because it's not our intent to put any parks funds towards that. We just want to use the $199,000 at this time.
Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the grant?
I'll make that motion loudly and clearly and thank Melissa for her hard work.
Moved by Bob Costin, supported by Jim Nash. Any other questions?
Just, Gary, that all three of these last items are referrals to the Board of Commissioners for final approval.
Okay. All right. Can we have a roll call vote on this, please?
Yes, Commissioner Long,
Yes.
McGilvray,
Yes.
Nash,
Yes.
Quarles, Vanderveen,
Yes.
Bagley,
Yes.
Herzog,
Yes.
Damian,
Yes.
Costin,
Absolutely, yes.
LaFontaine.
Yes.
We have a 9-0 pass.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to reports, and under A, we have Fiscal Sustainability Work Group. Sue?
At the last meeting, we have been covering quite a bit of ground, laying the groundwork for some information to make some big decisions. The first thing that we went over was an update on the golf courses from this summer. And I think it was discussed at the last commission meeting. Tom Hughes is very briefly going to go over that information for you at this time. Thomas?
Bill, do you have the PowerPoint?
I do. I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Tim, I'm on my Parks and Rec Zoom. I'll give you a call back, but I know what's been said. Right, and the other thing, of course, is that the second appraisal was more on.
So I know there's a lot of information here. I'll try to be high level and just kind of go through the golf course information. And there was a lot of concerns at the last commission meeting in regards to the amount of revenue that the golf courses brought in this year compared to other non-county golf courses, to try and paint a picture of what our operation was like this year, just so the commission understands where we were and what our plans are for next year. So being the season, we normally open March 28th, and this year with everything on hold, we were open until May 1st at our facilities. Once we opened, we had to change a lot of processes. We had to communicate with the health department, and that was the ultimate goal, to communicate with the health department, make sure we're doing everything properly, provide the safest experience for our park users, along with our
staff members. So everything we did operationally, we ran by the health department to get their approval before even operating. Once we operated, we were limited on what we could do. You can see here at May 1st when we did operate, there were restrictions from the state on what we could do, golf cart wise, and what we were allowed. We had to change the rates, make it easier for our processes, and to make it a safer experience, we increased our tee times at our golf courses, along with pairing golfers together is one thing we normally do. We stopped that process, so we're not trying to introduce, multiple family members, multiple users into one group, trying to, create that social distancing. That's something we established and implemented all year. Next slide, please. So once we started operating golf carts when they're allowed, we communicated with the health department, and we were not allowed to have more than one person in the golf cart, which this part here is a huge part of our operation. This really affected the whole season for us. Not having the ability to have more than one person in the golf cart affected our leagues, which we had to push back, our revenues. We didn't have enough golf carts to operate our facility. Normally, other facilities, did use dividers, did use, one golf cart driver with 2 bags in the golf cart, but we followed up with the health department, and that was something we were not allowed to do. There's a recommendation not to do that. So, representing the county, representing parks, and providing that safe experience and public perception is everything. So we did what we thought was the right thing and provided that experience based on the direction we were given. So considering that put us behind 3-4 weeks of operation compared to other golf courses. And that's something that lasted the whole season. Next slide, please. Just a quick snapshot of what our golf season looked like here on April. Normally, we're open already this year because of the closure, which is every golf course or 10,000 starts down. A start is 9 holes, so every 9 holes played is 1 start. So 18 holes is 2 starts. So those are all combined just to kind of paint a picture of where our numbers are. By the end of May, we were down almost 20,000 starts compared to previous year. That's in taking into consideration of the closing of the golf course through April and delayed opening in May. Next slide, please. And then once we got going normal operation, we saw that our golf starts were pretty consistent. So last year, nothing's really changed. Our golf leagues were down. That impacted our revenues because the golf leagues were down because of our delayed starts. Golfers not wanting to play as much, and that carried out through the whole season. Once we had that reduced capacity for our leagues, we didn't have the cart revenue coming in, our revenue for our greens fees. So overall, we were down significantly in our golf leagues, and that was the biggest impact of our operation. You can see on the bottom here in the highlighted columns, our normal tee times were progressing through the season. By the time September come around, we were having a great September compared to other years. And by the end of the season, next slide, please. Overall starts were down 7,000 starts, but we started out the season 10,000 down just from April. So trying to catch up, I think we did a decent job trying to make up that difference. The one number we'd never make up was the league starts, and that was a number we had to deal with. We couldn't add leagues, couldn't add players once that happened, and that carried out through the whole season, and that put us down. Going to the next season, we have some changes and suggestions to improve that, so that was one of our biggest challenges. Next slide, please. And just a quick snapshot here is the golf carts, and that was impacted throughout the whole season with our leagues being down and the delayed starts. You can go to the last slide on the golf carts. So here overall is this our numbers for the cart rentals overall, which is reflected by a decrease in leagues and some of our revenues being down, or our attendance being down. 20,000 golf cart rentals is a large number to make up. That's there is something we had to deal with and try to manage operationally with the limitations that we had. Next slide. And our golf outings down as well, but that was to be anticipated because of the restrictions on group sizes and companies not providing those large opportunities. So as you see, there's a $140,000 difference from last year to this year, just from golf leagues or outings. Sorry. Slide. So summarize our basic operations. So we didn't open until May. The restrictions on the golf carts provided to us by the health department really put us behind, and that's something that we struggled with. No pairing golfers together. You know, our peak times, weekends, we always pair golfers together. So if we got a twosome, we always pair another twosome up. That's something we did not do this year. We did not, incorporate that, did not, put that on other golfers. Not doing that, we lost revenue, but we also provided that safe experience, which I thought we did the right thing by making sure, as a municipality and the village coming up, that experience, that safe opportunity was the highest priority for us and our golfers, and that's why we did this. We also saw that other golf courses in the area had increased their rates, and we did not increase our greens fees this year because of the millage and not having that increase rate before the millage. Trying to maintain our rates from last year. So another factor went into our decrease in revenues. Expenses were up. We know that all our staff who work on the golf course through June 1st got hazard pay. So that's every full-time and every part-time employee. We could not have volunteers. That was an increase in our part-time staff, which we normally have volunteers, so that paid staff had to come on board and got hazard pay on top of it. So we're looking at, Lion Oaks at almost $11,000 an increase in staff costs just to cover our volunteer shifts because we couldn't have volunteers. All these things added up. So this here is what we're looking at for next year. And I know we're discussing having an RFP put out for the evaluator operations to make changes and to make sure our golf courses are viable. But these are changes that we would have to do anyway. Going next season, we knew we would have to change things, but we wanted to maintain our season this year to provide that experience. But going next year, we knew the changes had to be made. Doing the comparable rates for all the golf courses, introducing flexible pricing, pairing groups back together again. Single riders. We didn't charge for an extra or single rider to get a golf cart. So this year, we didn't do that. Next year, if they want to have a golf cart individually because they're not comfortable riding somebody else, they would have to pay a full rate for two golfers. Introducing online tee times. Right now, our league commitments are being sent out to get those vacancies filled. Ones that didn't come back this year will fill those spots. We're already getting feedback on that. So pretty confident that our league numbers will be back to normal next year, which should be fantastic. And reviewing our tee time spacing. We 10 tee times this year. So, and we had a lot of faster turnaround having that proper spacing. So these are all numbers that we're looking at to evaluate for next year. One positive thing too is October is significantly up from last year on our golf rounds. Our starts are about 5,000 higher than it was previously. So we're seeing that trend with taking our leagues out of the equation because leagues don't play in October. Our open play is up. So we know we're doing the right thing and people are coming through our courses because we provided that experience. And we've heard of it all season. They're appreciative that we did things the right way. We heard that multiple times. One more, Phil.
Sorry.
So I just want to say, I don't think this will change next year if we have an RFP put out or not. We know we'll be in a better condition next year. So if we're looking to do that, that's fantastic. We make sure golf is viable. I just want to thank all the staff this year for all the hard work they did to provide the experience because every one of them made sure that these golf courses were operated properly and took in consideration all the operations and patrons. And that experience was, I don't think there's no other golf course you played and had a better experience than you did for Oakland County Park. So I'm proud of my staff for that. Thank you.
Gary, I have a question whenever we can. Mr. Gary.
What happened to our chairman?
Uh-oh, that's what I said. Well, maybe I can ask my question if you guys don't care.
Go ahead.
Gary, is that okay, Gary?
Yep.
See if I can speak. Okay. So on the, we had some PPE expenses and hazard pay. Did we get to use, I can't remember, did you guys get to use CARES Act, the federal grant money for that? Can we get some reimbursement for that, for the PPE and the hazard pay?
We did get hazard or some of the reimbursement for it. I'm not sure what the breakdown exactly was on that yet. I haven't seen the final numbers from Jeff for those reimbursements, but I know there was some reimbursement that came back for it. I know it didn't cover.
Actually, there was a transfer in for 98,000 from the general fund for the CARES Act.
It was right, it was from the CARES Act from the county, the 219 million. Did you guys get?
Yeah, that came in right at year end.
Okay, 98,000. And then did we do any for the PPE or just the hazard pay? Because I think you probably could have did both, correct?
Yeah, I don't have a breakdown either on that. I just have the dollar amount in front of me.
Okay, so is 98,000 used for both of those?
Does Phil, do you have that number?
No, I only have what Jeff has, and I know for sure we got a lot of the money back for the PPEs that we were ordering. I just don't have a breakdown of PPE versus hazard pay.
Okay, that's good, as long as we used it. I wanted to make sure. Thank you.
You can probably get those numbers by the next monthly meeting, right?
Yeah, just, it would be interesting to know, and I'm glad we used it, you know, to free up money in the park. So thank you.
Along those same lines, Chris, time is kind of running out on the CARES Act money. So if you can pull something together, I'm not sure if loss of revenue from golf carts and things like that are allowable, but I would certainly check into it if you can.
It's not covered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Greg, you had a question? You're on mute, Greg. Greg, you're on mute. There you go.
Okay, so have you confirmed yet that we've submitted schedules to the county and the county has reimbursed us? Because that's what Chris was asking, and I don't think that happened. Because I'll tell you, from the road commission standpoint, we spent a lot of money on COVID, and we were told to submit worksheets to the county for reimbursement of some of that CARES Act that you're talking about, Chris. And we have not got a final notice on that yet. And they're still looking over our schedules. It's a considerable amount of money. And there's a lot of items in there that we thought wouldn't be included. And then they threw some of the items out that we thought should be included. And, you know, our numbers are north of $1 million. We're a larger organization, but I'm just wondering, did we go through the formal process of listing and scheduling all of our extraordinary expenses out and then submitting them to the county for reimbursement?
Yes, we did.
And so can you advise us commissioners off that schedule what it looked like?
Yeah, we can provide you a report.
Okay.
And to you, Greg, I would follow up with the administration and see if you can get road commission stuff if it's still available. Like I say, I know that the time is running out, so you might want to have Dennis get in touch with them ASAP.
Okay, I know we already submitted formally. We've gone back and forth, so I know it's in play. So Gary, my question is, has the parks received any money as of yet from from the county?
I'm not sure. Dan, can you answer?
That's where Jeff was saying with just at the close of fiscal 2020, we received a payment of 98,000,
Yeah.
That's correct, yes.
but we don't know if that's the end.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
And
Are
then
there
Greg,
any
I
other
would follow up like Gary said fast, because I think November 30th was the deadline for a lot of stuff, wasn't it, Gary, coming up?
Yes, I believe so.
I think it's coming up, Greg, so just have
Okay.
them follow up, yeah.
Right, thank you.
Is there any other questions on that? And then part 2 is a request for proposal RFP to retain a consultant to evaluate our golf course operations. Sue?
I want to sort of retweak that title. We have had a lengthy conversation in regards to our golf courses and making them more self-sustainable. And what we would like to recommend is that we go out for an RFP that we would bring back to the commission for approval once it is received. In our first part of the RFP, and it may be the last part of it, is to really drill down from an expert in the field is what is the market and the competition in the golf course industry in Oakland County, as well as what should we, Oakland County, be charging for rates. Historically, the mantra was don't charge too low or don't charge too high, stay in the middle. Well, if we are going to be self-sustainable, that we can't continue to operate that way. We have to really hone in on what should our prices be. Also, we want to take a look at our marketing. We found out through the millage, our marketing this year for the millage was completely different than it was 10 years ago. Do we go with more site-specific, golf-specific marketing? And we can evaluate that. We have wonderful staff, but we feel we need somebody to either help us with that or give us a stronger recommendation as it is from the golfer. Tom indicated tee sheet management as something they were evaluating. We talked about online sales, reservations. Do we have the right system in place for those online sales? We've worked very hard to have a consistent program for all of the park system to interface with fiscal services and meet the qualifications of IT, but is it the best of what we can get that meets those qualifications? And take a look at our historical rounds, our expenditures, our revenue, and our performances. But I just want to stress that in no way is this an indication that staff isn't doing their job correctly. It's just getting a different set of eyes to look at what we're doing.
Gary?
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. For the last 15 years, I've been in and out of the Parks Board 3 times actually, and it seems like we really like hiring consultants for everything we do at a cost, okay?
Mhm.
These consultants come back and then they sell us, more IT, and sometimes they create more expense and then they're gone and we're left to implement it. I thought, so that's one point. I think, Sue, you made the point that, this is no reflection on our staff. But we pay a lot of money for our staff. And they should be able to provide that reporting without having to go outside and hire consultants. And I'm totally convinced that, we have the brain power within our organization to figure some of these things out ourselves. And if we make a small mistake, we fix it as we go along. I had an experience at one of the golf courses about 3-4 weeks ago. And by the way, I paid my own way, but it was an extraordinary experience. The staff was outstanding. The services were great. The course was in good shape. I can't imagine improving it other than, dispensing golf balls in a machine or something to save money. But from the standpoint of sustainability, I do remember having conversations with many on this board, past boards, that it's not necessary for it to be sustainable. In other words, people are paying taxes, a millage, and we just got a bump. And so therefore they're paying for recreation, and this is a form of recreation. Now, if you say nobody's using them, which wasn't my experience because the golf course was jammed, that's another story. But those are the points that I thought I'd like to make or bring up.
Dave?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'm the guy that made an issue of this last meeting. And because what got my attention at the end of August, we had lost almost $600,000. Golf is something that our last consultant, Greg Mission Consultant, said that golf and weddings should pay for themselves. Other areas that we don't charge for are like walking, hiking, and use of the parks in general. But if you're an enterprise, we should be at least breaking even. And I think traditionally we have looked at our golf courses as part of the parks. I don't think we've really looked at them as business enterprises. And I have to say, after I made that issue, the staff has really jumped into it, and I appreciate all the work and analysis they've given to us. As part of the Fiscal Sustainability Committee, we did have one conversation with a consultant who talked about I'll say a high level overview of golf courses, how far the particular golf course reach and market is, what are the demographics, how they can predict how successful that course will be. And I was pretty impressed with the approach that he gave to it. And I think we can probably get, don't hold me to this, but I think the chances are good to get maybe a $15,000, $20,000 grant from economic development to take a real close look at this. So kind of in support of what Sue was saying, I would like to see us go ahead and have a high level overview of our golf operations. I'd like to see us give consideration to having one person who's going to be responsible for the business end of golf, and to take a look at our marketing, our expenditures, the rates that we're charging. What is our competition doing? Both publicly owned courses and privately owned, publicly used courses. What about our inventory? I just think we need to look at all that from a business standpoint, and we can do that about the same time as we hire a consultant, or even afterward, depending on what a consultant said. But I would support Sue's comments. In fact, I would make a motion with the direct staff to work virtually and prepare a request for proposal.
Okay, is there support to Van der Veen's motion? Supported by Costin? You're on mute, Bob.
Bob, you're muted. There you are.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. Yes, I would support Dave's motion. I think it's a good idea to look at it.
Okay. Chris?
Well, I agree with Greg. I don't think we need a consultant. I think we spend a lot on consultants. They come back with a bunch of graphs and charts, and Frankly, they bore me, but I mean, that's just me. I'm not in that business of that graph stuff. But I just think Tom and our in-house, we could do it. I'm not going to support getting a consultant. I think we're doing a good job. I think, yes, we could have known about the golf carts, and I agree with Dave on that and stuff. But I think the golf courses, when I go by them, they're packed. I hear all positive comments. As Greg said, the pricing, I think we can figure out on our own as a commission. I just don't think we need a consultant for the golf courses at all. So I won't be supporting this. I think we're doing fine. I think we can refine things for sure. We always can be in Oakland County Parks, but I don't think we need to outsource it. I think we have the talent right here in our Parks division.
Bob?
I would like to say that I certainly agree with Chris because we have great people there and Tom works really hard. I supported the motion based upon what I thought I heard from Commissioner Vanderveen, that there would be some economic development funds available that parks would not have to spend the money.
That's correct.
If that was the case, we might learn something at no cost to our staff. But I agree with you, the golf courses are beautiful. I went out and played myself last week at Lion Oaks, paid for it. And I'll tell you, it's spectacular. What a beautiful golf course. And it was busy. It was really busy. And and I also agree with Commissioner Jamian that although not so much this year have we had consultants, but in prior years, we had lots of them. And they just kept coming. So I guess what I'm saying in seconding the motion is that if it could be funded by other than parks revenues, that's why I would support it.
Dan?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a point of clarification, and we can provide you with a report if you so desire, is that since we reorganized the department in 2007, 2008, we have done a majority of our planning in-house. All of our master plans are done in-house. Our 5-year rec plan is done in-house. And you may think we have a number of consultants come in, but it is very few.
Okay. Chris?
Sorry, I'm so chatty today. I didn't think I would be 2 hours sleep, but anyway, so where the economic money, is it grant money? Because it's still, if it's economic money coming from grant money, it's still tax dollars. If we don't need to do a consultant, it's still all of our tax money from federal dollars. If it's from the federal, I just don't think it's necessary. I don't know, Dave, is it economic development? Is it grant money?
I can't answer that, Chris. It was just made known to me that if we wanted to look at it, they'd support it.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to postpone it. I think that's important for us all to know where the money's coming from, in my opinion. I don't know if we have to hurry and do this, if we can postpone this to the next meeting so we can find out where the funding would come from. Maybe Greg would change his mind. Maybe I would change my mind. So I would make a motion just to postpone it to the next meeting so we can see where the funding would come from for this consultant.
I would accept that.
Okay.
That was I didn't have an in-depth analysis in mind. It was an overall view of obvious areas where we could improve. And half of it is you've got to implement what you're told. And quite often we haven't done that. And that is one of the reasons I suggested we have a person identified within our staff that's going to be responsible and accountable for golf operations.
All right, and I may support that, Dave, but just I want to know where the funding's coming from. I don't want to be at our first meeting since the park millage passed and also be hiring consultants because I don't really think that's a good image right now. I'd like to know where the money would come from the consultant if we really need it, and just have a little more time to think about this. In my opinion, I think it would be the best thing to do.
I was not suggesting we spend park monies.
Okay, we have a substitute motion. Do we have a support to that motion?
You know what, Dave, I think I would support Kristen that because it doesn't seem like it's urgent. And I think maybe we could look at it a little, take a little more time. And I just wanted to say we had one other comment, but anyway, to make a long story short, I don't think it would be a bad idea to give some more time to study it.
I don't want to give too much time, Bob, because this is the perfect time if you can make changes to make them. Golf season will be here before we know it.
No, you're right about that.
Okay, So Bob, you supported that then? The postponement?
No.
I'll,
I would say I would support it and see if we could have it back on the agenda for the next time. I think
Well,
we can get.
that's what I was seeing. If Dave can find out where the or the money from the economic by the next meeting, December, I don't think that would throw us off too much. We can start working on it by get an RFP January. I know you have to hurry because spring comes fast. I get that.
I would support one adjournment for 30 days for the next meeting.
Okay. Okay, so we have a support to that, so we'll vote on that motion first. The motion to postpone until the November meeting. We have is there any discussion on that?
December meeting.
December meeting, I'm sorry.
Right, yike.
I haven't had any sleep yet, so.
Mr. McGilvery, do we need to rescind the first motion that Mr. Van Der Veen and Mr. Costin made?
Yes, I think so.
Well, I
Okay.
don't know yet. Maybe see if it passes first. Do the roll call postponement. If it doesn't pass, then you can, if it passes, you can resend that one then, I think. Because what if it doesn't
Okay.
pass?
Okay. All right. Are you ready for roll call on that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Commissioner McGilvery,
Yes.
Nash?
I'm sorry, this is on the delaying motion.
Yes, this is on the delay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear your vote.
Sorry, yes.
Okay. Quarles? Van Der Veen?
yes.
Bagley?
Yes.
Herzog?
Yes.
Jamian?
Yes.
Costin?
Yes.
LaFontaine?
Yes.
Long?
Yes.
Okay, postponement has passed 9-0.
Okay. Dave?
Yeah, I was gonna ask Greg, what course did you play where you had that good experience?
Lion Oaks.
Yes, and that's the one Bob talked about, and I played that. It's the only course I played this year as well. That incidentally is the only golf course that made money this year.
Well, I thought I saw that, the one on 13 in Orchard Lake.
Glen Oaks? I don't think so.
Yeah. I know their numbers, I know Glen Oaks numbers were way up. And, you know, I don't know if they made money or not. I gotta I don't know. But,
Mr. Chair.
but anyway,
Jim?
can I just make
Go
a
ahead,
quick?
Greg.
So,
Go ahead and finish, Greg.
yeah, so I'm, jumping in on this thing, and I don't mean to upset anything that's in play. I'm certainly for gathering information from outside to make our stuff better. I just didn't know that there was, this motion in play right now to, seriously look at the courses. I know COVID, really had an impact. So could we be overreacting because of the COVID variable? I'm not sure, but I think it's good that it'd be great if we could find a funding source for it, and then that was specific, a grant specific to that, Chris, and then go with it. That would be great. But Dave, if there's any more information you could provide us, that would be super on that.
Greg, as you may recall, at the last meeting, I pointed out several courses, public and private, that did very well this year, exceeded all their previous records. I think one of the points Tom made is they might not have been as conscientious from a health standpoint as we were. I do say that was an issue of COVID, but the other flip side of COVID is it brought out people to play golf because that was the only game in town this year.
Right.
Anything else?
But it was delayed. It was delayed until what, April? So we missed, 2 or 3.
Everybody did.
Yeah. Okay.
Dave, would you like to rescind your original motion then?
Yes, yes, I'll accept that.
Bob, the support, do you agree with rescinding it?
I do.
Okay. I just one thing I wanted to mention in the golf question is I think it's important to look at the conference centers as well and how that kind of parlays into the golf outings. Because certainly we've been losing money on the conference centers for many, many years. So, as well as golf. And I know that was a thing of contention when we went to the full board of commissioners with the millage increase, that we're losing money. Let's save money there first. So I agree with Dave in that maybe we do need to have a consultant look at it, because we can't keep operating when both our golf courses and our conference centers are on the losing end of that, and it comes out of taxpayers' money. So that's all I want to say about it.
Well,
okay.
I wanted
Mr.
to
Nate
ask,
has something.
do we have the internal specialization and to do a report that an outside, professional body that does this all the time? Do we have that kind of expertise to do it?
It's my understanding that they had someone, I wasn't at that executive board meeting, that they discussed it with a fella who is a consultant for golf courses. And he said, Dan, what was the cost that you suggested to them?
Sue, 2030?
1520.
Okay. So,
But as far as internally, the staff to do it,
Right.
it would, we don't have one person. We would have to divide those things up among the other duties that they're doing right now.
Right. Because I mean, the point of these kind of companies is that they do this as a thing. So they've done it across the country. We know our operations, but how do we know how to compare it to others? And, that's the kind of thing the outside expert can do that we don't have that, knowledge, or we'd have to develop that knowledge ourselves to make those decisions. That's the concern I would have.
Just in was it 2 days, Sue, period of time? He did a pretty down and dirty analysis of our operations that were pretty amazing for as little time as he put into it.
okay. All right, let's move on then to, we'll see that on the December agenda then. Activity participation and program review. I'm sorry, was there someone?
Chris is trying to speak, but she's muted.
Oh, sorry. Did we get a motion to rescind the Dave's first one after postponement? We might need that. I don't know if we did that.
Dave rescinded and the support agreed.
Okay.
Okay, we have the activity participation program review day use parks report, and that's Mr. Dunleavy and Mr. Hughes.
Well, I think Jim wanted me to come in and talk a little bit about RPS. This is John Haney. So,
okay.
If you see on this slide, we were able to do some in-person programs at both of our nature centers because we have some tents out there that we can do outside programs. Unfortunately, as the winter comes, we'll have to take those tents down. We are looking into possibly heating those tents to see if we can continue that because we don't know if we're going to be able to move inside anytime soon. So you can kind of see those of what we have done at Wint and at Red Oaks Nature Center. And then next slide. I think that's just another thing of what, if you go to the next slide, it's just our October numbers and stuff. So you can see what we have done. And then these are our weekly nature themes. So we actually did some virtual programming where on Monday we would start off with showing them how to find a monarch or whatever. And then on Wednesday we would have another video. And then on Friday we would have kind of like a activity that goes along with it. So trying to interact with people virtually. So that's kind of that. And then next slide. These are our active adult programs. So we had these Trailblazers walks where we would go out and there would be a lead person to kind of tell them what is going on in the parks. They're about a mile long. They're not crazy, but you can see our numbers. People still came out with that. And then our virtual education, our history, and then the Ellis Barn, those were pretty popular. Like we've gone from doing more in person here in RPS. We still are trying to do in person, but we have gone to more virtual, and we seem to get a very good outturn on those and a very appreciative when we do those. And then next slide, I think. Oh, this is what I talked about earlier, our Oaks on the Road. So this is where we partnered with communities with when we redid the wrap. They kind of did the registration for us. So we would bring out like tie-dye. You can see the Frisbees there. They got to take a Frisbee home for our disc golf that we would bring out with them. And then we had a craft and they were all themed. And that would be their first option is what theme they wanted. And then we'd have a couple different options to probably have 4 or 5 events. And the nice part working with the communities and doing the registration through them is they were able to cap it. So they would say like during this 10-minute session, one family could come and then they kind of would walk around and stuff like that. So those were very well accepted. Like I said, we're looking into doing something for that in the wintertime. If we get snow, if we don't get snow, we can kind of think of an idea, but those are good because as you can see, like we don't have a lot of participants, but that's 60 people in Berkeley that we may have not hit traditionally. So, you know, that's always a good thing. So next slide. Is that the last one? And then these are our self-guided hunts. So as you know, in years past at both Groveland and Edison, we do haunted houses. With COVID this year, we could not do those haunted houses at the campground, but people were still coming camping. So we decided to do these hunts where they were, you can see the different signs and stuff, and then they got a clue, and then they would turn it in. Once they found the clue and found the answer, they would turn it into a lockbox up at the contact station, and then they would get like a goodie bag. So it was kind of themed towards Halloween, and we're doing like, we have one, I don't know, we have one in Lathrop Village going on right now, and we did one where it was at all of our 13 parks to get them people out into our parks, and people have been very appreciative of it, and they seem to have a lot of fun. So, and that's social distancing. People do it on their own. They don't have to get in big groups, and it seems like they have a very good time doing that. And then next slide. That might be, oh, so this is just another one where you can see the other participants for where we were going and stuff like that. But I think, is that my last slide? Yep. So that's the last slide for me. So.
Hey,
thank you for jumping on, Jeff.
Oh, no problem.
The campground at Groveland Oaks, our last big event for the season was our Haunted Hollows. We were able to sell out on both of those weekends, so we had a full house. So staff did a great job with limited staff. We ended up not doing trick-or-treating. And what people did was that they decorated their campsites, and then we held a contest by doing that. And people kind of did their own thing, decorating in the group areas, and went really well. Even our staff really got into it and decorated their golf carts and even dressed up. So I can't thank our staff enough for putting it all in. I know we've talked a little bit about COVID, but it definitely was a challenging season for the staff at the campground, making sure the restrooms were clean and the cabins and the yurts, and just did an amazing job. We ended up using a cleaning machine that we could go in and really clean things down. We did that twice a day. So they just actually dedicated staff to do that to stay up on top. So I'm going to turn it over to Tom. Tom, do you have anything on Addison?
Yeah, for the campground at Addison, this has been an incredible year. I just every weekend, even all the way through October, we have summer weekends, and we've never seen it before. So people are out using our parks, recreating, so that's a wonderful thing to see. See, Boo Bash is our last public event, and that was 2 weekends in a row. You see pictures up there of how we did social distancing for our costumes and Halloween contests. So all through the season, we did this precautions and make that experience safe. So it was a good year, but it was a busy year. And it was good to see. Next slide.
I know, Tom, you talked a lot about earlier, and I know you thanked our staff, and I think I thanked you many times already, but I personally thank you again for all your hard work and all those meetings that we had to get ready for the season. You did a great job.
Thanks, Jim. I did mention before our October has been pretty busy. Busier than last year. The tee sheets are full all the way through October. It's been a good weather, but it's been busy. Other leagues are not playing with open spots for golf, and they're filled. So we're encouraged by the numbers and the participation we're seeing in golf, and excited for next year. Next slide. And the thing with our day use parks, the trails are busy. We have some the mountain bikers and hikers, field trail, the paved trail. Just this year has been the busiest I've seen since I've been at parks, just for the trail usage. And, it's a good thing to see people who are enjoying our parks, and that's showed by our members last night are being appreciated. An increase, so we know we're doing the right thing, and it's a great day out there.
I agree, Tom. I had the opportunity to go out to Orion Oaks today to meet one of our guests. And that park was probably about 11 o'clock, and half the parking lot was full already. Just a beautiful day. Hopefully they'll have a good weekend out there too. Next slide. Oh, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Is there any questions?
Are there any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Holly Oaks ORV Park update. And that's Melissa.
Yep. Hey, Phil, can you make me a presenter real quick? Okay, so this is a relatively brief update this month. At the next meeting in December, we'll give kind of a full fiscal year end and then kind of season year end report, but just a couple of things to update the commission on. One, we had a really great training last Friday out at the park with Jody Johnston, who is the park supervisor up at Silver Lake Sand Dunes. He's kind of the DNR's, he's kind of their go-to guy when it comes to this sound testing and how they do it and what equipment they use. So he came down and spent a couple hours with our staff who were troopers because it was freezing cold that day and kind of walked us through the procedures. And we tested some vehicles while we were out there. And I think we really learned a lot. We're going to take everything that we learned and put it into a procedure for our staff that when we get that put in place, we'll send that out to you as well. But in general, what we really learned is that it's a much more complicated process than we had originally thought. You know, we kind of thought you use the meter, you test the sound, and that's it. But really, there is a bit of a science to it. It's an SAE procedure. There's, you know, a certain distance from the exhaust, certain angles from the exhaust, reading at a certain RPM, which varies from vehicle to vehicle, the clear space you need around the vehicle to get an accurate test. And we really learned to do it properly. It really is a two-person job. So something that we'll be thinking about as we staff up for the spring. But again, really, really great information. We learned a lot. It's going to help us moving forward with making sure that we're accurately checking people's sound. We will be implementing the same procedure that the DNR does in that we will be spot checking. The process takes way too long to try to check every single vehicle that comes through the gate. So we'll be doing the same thing they do and looking out for noisy vehicles and spot checking them in the park as needed. So our last day for this season is November 29th, is a Sunday. This coming weekend is our last weekend at Mount Holly. After that, we'll remove everything from Mount Holly and we'll just be using our Dixie Ledge parking lot. The timing is perfect. And we are very grateful they gave us a bit of an extension. We were supposed to have their parking lot through October 15th. The weather's going to be beautiful this weekend, so we do expect to be very, very busy. So it's great that we have that parking lot for one more weekend. And then December through March, April-ish timeframe, we will be open for corporate rental still, and for our Oakland Mine Rider groups to come out and potentially do some activity out at the site. We do have some rentals yet coming up in November, and some folks we're talking to through December. So we're hoping that keeps up through the winter and continues to be a good revenue stream for us. And then, as I mentioned in the earlier item, before spring, we'll be focusing on that Dixie Ledge parking lot development, as well as the development of the pit stop area in the back of the park, where we're hoping our vendors will be set up in the spring. And just two quick thank yous. One to Holly Power Sports, who opened up right down the street from us. They brought over some vehicles for us for the sound testing training, which was great. They also just provided flags and mounts for all of our park vehicles, which we really appreciate. And then American Expedition Vehicles donated 3 recovery kits to us for a value of about $3,500. Just a really great kits for us to have on hand should we, get ourselves in a situation that we can't easily get out of. We'll be well prepared for that. And that's all I have for today.
Very good. Thanks, Melissa. Bob?
I think I would have some comments. Thank you for recognizing me. A couple of things. I'm going to go at the end first, if I could, Melissa. In terms of the obvious interest in corporate rentals, how do you determine the fees for corporate rentals?
We looked around as best we could to see what other places charged. It was kind of all over the board, so there wasn't a an exact rate that necessarily we knew we wanted to use. But we did talk to a number of people, including some folks that have already been out at the site. We did bring those fees, I think, to the commission back in the spring, just to kind of get your input and approval on those. For the most part, it's been good. During the season, we were charging $2,000 a day. Right now, in the kind of shoulder season, it's $1,500. For the vast majority of folks that we talk to, that's not an issue for them. For some smaller guys that want to come out and just maybe take a photo or two or do something really small, it is a little on the high end. So we might look at having potentially some film and photography fees different from the corporate rental fees. So we're evaluating all of that as we go. But right now the fees seem to be pretty good.
And when the corporate rentals are occurring, I'm guessing that employees or guests or whatever they're bringing their own off-road vehicles as well, are they not?
Yeah, they're bringing their own everything.
Okay. And then my next comment is I'm hoping that the members of the commission see the Detroit News or the Detroit Free Press. And if you want to see how interested Ford Motor Company has become in this business, the ORV park is gigantic. And for those of you, and I'm sure you're all very familiar with the sign Hollywood out in California, well, go down I-75 and take a look at the highest hill and see what Ford Motor has put up there. So it's amazing because Ford has come out and said, Jeep has pretty much controlled this business for 15 or 20 years. And I did say this before, it's going to be fun to watch because Ford says they will eat Jeep's lunch. We love that kind of competition.
We do. Ford will be out there next week doing some demo tours with the media again for 3 days next week. So they do love that Bronco sign.
But please, when you drive up 75 going north, everybody, look to the right, look for the tires, and look at the top of the hill, and you're going to think it's a better sign than Hollywood. Thanks.
Quick tip, do it within the next week because it is coming down.
Okay, thank you. That's my comment.
Okay, thanks. Is there any other comments? Melissa, can we take the screen down now?
Yep.
And next we have Executive Officers Report. Dan?
Thanks, Commissioner. I just wanted to draw to the Commission's attention the cover for this month's meeting. The idea of having public awareness events to make the media and our constituents more aware of our parks and so on. So that was put together by Garrett Ebling, our communications graphic artist. Upcoming events on page 100 for the month of November. I'd like to point out on the upcoming meeting, our next meeting is December 2nd at 1 o'clock, and it's scheduled to be virtual. Mike, is there anything, well, executive committee, we do have a meeting scheduled for Monday, November 16th at 1 o'clock. Mike, is there anything you want to update on Springfield Activity Center water system?
Well, we will be bringing the, before the commission will be bringing the well replacement project in January, I believe, or yeah, January. And that's to replace the well that failed as we finished up our water quality project this past September. So we're bringing that to the commission then, and there's nothing more to add really on that until we get the bids in and go from there. So we're working with Frank Rewald and Sons to do that, and also HRC or Hubble Roth and Clark as our engineers.
Okay. On pages 101 to 102, Addison Oaks was featured in Metro Detroit Weddings magazine. On page 103 is current operational plan with the pandemic. Natural resources on oak wilt. I believe we have a report coming next month on all natural resources, but we wanted to highlight that staff has been investigating the possibility of doing some selective logging that we can generate some revenue and also take advantage of the oaks that have died as a result of oak wilt.
Dan, that report's coming in January, just so you know.
All right. Rose Oaks, the Enbridge pipeline that we showed you a couple months ago that had breached out of the ground in a wetland. Mike has reported here that we hope to get something going on that in 2021. The county holidays that are coming up are noted there for you. We've got December 2nd. Communications and marketing report on pages 104 to 124. Desiree and her staff have created a little different template for that. Again, I want to thank the commission and staff and all the volunteers in the citizens group for their effort on the successful millage. Also, last month, Sue, you and Tom have not made contact. You've tried several times for the lady that contacted us about the dog park at Red Oaks.
Staff have communicated with her several times, and we were attempting to meet her at Red Oaks, but we have not yet heard back from her. We've reached out to her a couple times.
Okay. Last week, the National Recreation Park Association was supposed to meet in person in Orlando, and they did a virtual conference that was very successful. And our state association, MParks, is going to be having a virtual conference in early 2021. And last Saturday, we had several of our commissioners attend the Normandy Sneak Peek event, which was very successful. Very lots of appreciation from the city of Royal Oak elected officials, and the public was very pleased with what's gone on. There will be a formal event dedicating the park in 2021, and this is kind of a model for the Parks Millage, where we're sharing revenue through granting processes with local units of government. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any questions that you'd like to ask Mr. Stencil? Hearing none, we have executive committee update. The only thing I can really report is that we talked briefly and got the full report that you pretty much did today regarding golf. And we talked about the possibility of a consultant there to see if that's what we were interested in. And we discussed that. I want to make everybody aware too, that at the next board meeting in December, we'll be having a closed session where we do the annual evaluation for Mr. Stencil. So just so you're prepared, I will send out an email. I apologize for not getting it to you by now, but if you can take a look at that, and if you have any questions or comments, I'll include my phone number in the email. Feel free to give me a call anytime. I'd love to hear from you. So with that, is there any old business? Any new business?
We have a new business.
Okay. Oh,
It's
that's right, I
Vicky's
forgot.
birthday.
We have a birthday today. Miss
Happy
Vicky
birthday
Delco.
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Vicky. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Vicky.
Thank you very much. I did not expect that.
Hey, Dan, I'd keep your day job, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I said the only time
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was good.
With that, is there any other new business?
Commissioner McGilvray, one thing I just want to bring up is starting on Monday, we will be passing out the free annual vehicle permits to seniors, permanently disabled veterans and military at specific park locations. So in case you get questioned, or we will be starting that on Monday.
Okay, and are you going to have people stationed at those parks?
Yes, we will have people stationed, and all the information will be on website, and we'll be doing news releases and such. So,
Do you have a press release that's going out to talk about that, or?
yep, I talked with Desiree. We're doing a press release, email, and signage, Facebook, Twitter. So we have it pretty well covered.
Signage, the locations where you get your permits.
Yeah, they are located. We will have those and the times that you can get those.
Thank you.
The big one will be here at Waterford. We will be selling or giving them away.
Okay. I think that's everything. With that, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in December. Meeting is adjourned.
Hey, Gary.
Yes.
Tiffany Shockey from the